So yeah, when my wife, this is, when she told me that she was pregnant, um, I was gonna make it shake, and both of our situations were um, complicated to say the least. Um, I'll tell you mine's. I'll go a little further with mine. So um, yeah, so I'm in a household. My little sister's there. I'm grown. We're down to one income. Um, and I'm figuring that, I don't need to be that burden on my parents, that I probably need to move out. Um, and that's because I knew that this baby was coming. At the time, I hadn't even told them. I actually told my mom and my older sister that um, my girlfriend was pregnant and I joined the army. I dropped that on my mom all at one time. And it was the worst thing that she thought that I could do as far as me joining the army. She thought that there was another option. She thought that I didn't have to do that. And then she also felt that maybe I should give a few other things a shot before I went and did something as drastic in her eyes as joining the military. And I didn't see it that way. Um, I always kind of been the person that, like, okay, it's going to be this way, it's going to be another way. Let's not really play with the gray areas. And my options, I thought, was slim. What was I going to do? Stay on the street? Um, wasn't going to do that. I definitely wasn't going to lean on them. Um, she needed me. My girlfriend, who turned my wife, she needed me. This child was going to need me here very, very soon. Um, and the odds are against me. Being young and black and being in an area that's limited with options, and everybody's in poverty, bad things happen fast, and good things happen at a snail's pace. So I decided to do that. Yeah, I decided to do that, and my girlfriend at the time, my wife, she needed a sense of security. She needed a way. She needed answers as well. Um, she was a forced child um, in the system. Though she did live with her grandmother, she was in the system, and her being in the system and popping up pregnant, although she was 18, um, it could be some complications for her. I'm not particularly sure on all of the things that could have potentially happened, but I know for sure one of the things that was definitely going to happen, which ultimately did, was her grandmother was going to put her out. And that happened. I remember um, this was probably in March, right before I signed the enlistment papers. I used to pick her up from school when she was in college, and I used to pick her up from school in a little car I had and drive her back to her house. And I remember this one afternoon we pulled up, and New York City had brownstones and small houses and stuff, and her grandmother lived in a little small house that was kind of like a brownstone that had steps, but her aunts, both aunts, she had two aunts, and her grandmother was sitting on the steps with the gates closed, and there was two giant trash bags sitting outside the gate. And I remember thinking that that was a little bit peculiar. And she got out the car, and I think she was just going to go put like her bag in the car, and she's going to come back, and I was going to go take her to get something to eat, something like that. And she went to the gate, and she's looking at the trash bags, and she notices like her stuff is coming out of the trash bag, and so then she goes to open the gate. They had locked the gate and closed the gate, and there I was sitting in the car, and all I could hear was them fussing. I had the window about halfway down, and I just remember them fussing. And I remember her turning around, and just her eyes was just she was just bawling. And if anybody knew me when I was dating my ex-wife back then, like I was like totally in love with my ex-wife. Just the sun, the moon, and the stars rose, set, and the world revolved around that woman or that young girl. And I seen her crying, and I just jumped out the vehicle. I'm like, "Yo, what's going on?" And she's like, "They put me out. They put me out." And you know, she just kind of fell in my arms, and I'm like, "Come on, let's get in the car." I put her in the car, and I opened my trunk, and I put her stuff in the trunk of the car, and I got in the car, and we drove down the street. It was Quincy Street, Brooklyn, and I remember getting to the corner, and she's crying, and we just kind of had a moment where we kind of looked at each other, and we both was we had that thing like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Um, and so that was the thing that solidified me going back down to the recruiter. Recruiter used to be off of Flatbush Avenue Extension back then. That was the moment, the catalyst, if you will, that pushed everything into motion and solidified me going back to the recruiter, signing the enlistment papers, picking a departure date, and really setting in concrete that's what I was going to do. I didn't have any other option. At least I didn't see it at the time.